Okay. Did I start this?
Yeah.
I did. I'm recording.
No, I didn't record. I don't think it's recording yet.
It seems to be recording, yes?
Oh, it is? Oh.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see it.
We'll work that out in the edits. Spend a lot of time editing these class videos. Brandon. Tyler, Brian, Olivia, Aaron, Frederick, Adrian, not here, Kindre, TJ. Okay, who are we missing? Brandon. And Kendra. Okay, what I have done heretofore is Brian has his senior recital tomorrow night at 7:30, and I think it's free. You guys should show up, see what's going on. We're going to do a PA setup. If any of you would like to watch or help out with the PA setup, we're going to do that at 5. And you're going to use this, and are you going to play the saxophone and this?
In the same, yeah.
Okay, so we got saxophone, we got the synth here, we've got a piano type keyboard.
Yeah, another synthesizer.
Another synthesizer, so that's 3. Got trumpet, that's 4. I think that's it, right?
And the bass and drums.
And the bass, which we may or may not run. You have to figure out what to do with the bass. And then the drums, which we won't be miking, that would be pointless. And we're like, can you use your brushes? So he also is playing some traditional saxophone literature. So it should be a great concert, and we'll last 30 minutes, 45 minutes, something like that.
40.
Yeah, we're gonna have way more in the setup than we are in the recital itself. Okay, so since he, he's got his gear here, so I think we're gonna do some overdubs with Brian. And so far, I've set up 4 mono audio tracks that he's just coming in, and you have to switch this to line and wiggle the wire a little bit. I've set up an aux and a master. I think I want to set up do you want a metronome or no? Okay, so we'll set up an instrument track to do the beat. Let's let you use your own count off, all right? Okay, so I'm going to add a new mono instrument track, and then I'm going to go to my mixer, and in my insert go into plug-in for the instrument called Click. That pops up my Click. We also have some setup over here that has a click and count off, and let's not have a count off. You just decide how many. So we're going to have no count off, and we're going to click only during record. Now, I don't think it's going to count off. We'll see. All right, now go back to the edit, and do you have a target tempo you want to start with?
110.
110. So right here on the tempo line, I'm going to hit a plus, and the location needs to be 110. And change that to 110. The resolution is quarter note, and my grid doesn't really matter, but I'm going to make the grid the 8th note. We don't really need to see that. Okay. I think that's all we need. Are you ready to start?
Should I wear some headphones or?
Depends. You want to hear it out of the speakers? You want to hear it out of the headphones? Because you're going to have to click.
Speakers.
Speakers? Okay. And you can see this adjusts that. Okay. So we don't want volume to be confused with amplitude, right? Amplitude is the amount he sends from here, and generally you want to send at a pretty high level, and then you want to set that, you know, to where you want to set it here.
Why do you want to set it at a higher level? Send it from a higher level.
Well,
Why not like halfway or less?
you want the volume going in, and you want to adjust it here. So it's not the only way to do that, but that's sending the biggest signal to here, and then I can decide how big that signal is. But when we're listening to it, that's just a matter of preference with the volume. And you know, it gives me a little pause. I've always done it that way, and I'm sure someone told me that, and so there could be other outcomes. And you know, I'm not sure it would really make that much difference, but it was a good question. All right, so you ready to start? And here we go. Very nice. Let's just give it a quick play, or at least the beginning of it, make sure we're hearing what we want to hear. I think it's very representative. Did you hear something in it?
No, it's just the portamento makes me question its in timeness, but I feel like it's still in time. Like,
I did not even think about the portamento, but is your portamento at 110 here?
mm-hmm.
And it doesn't seem like it is there?
No, I don't know.
Okay, I didn't.
It won't matter.
I've never really thought about the portamento, honestly. Okay, so you want to do another track?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Oh my goodness, I was recording this instrument track. That was so dumb. It's okay. All right, let's at least kind of. Oh, okay. You see why we have no level there? I'll tell you. Because it's going to say input 2. We're input 1.
Oh.
Okay. It's a really easy. This is probably a little bit hot for us. Now, have you got touch volume on your like velocity if you hit?
Maybe not on this patch.
Okay. Maybe wouldn't be so much for a basic patch. Yeah. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
On the fly, that is such a gnarly patch. If you just look at the waveform there, let's move this up to jumbo and spread it out a little bit, just to kind of. I'll expand this view.
What does that mean?
Well,
That's funny.
Okay, Google it.
Exactly. Like every pitch and everything is at the same level. And it's a very, if we can get the waveform out even more. It's kind of, you see this right here, it's got a little bit of triangle wave to it, and that's what gives it that sort of almost clarinet-y sound in a way.
Yeah, the third oscillator is the triangle wave.
Yeah. So we're seeing a triangle wave there. So just interesting. And you don't get perfect waveforms in anything but synthesizers. You don't get them out of acoustic instruments. It's fun to do that. Well, let's go ahead and listen to. I'm wondering, I've got comments on here. Let's hear it together without the drum section. Wow. Cool. You got something else?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get out from in front of the speakers for a minute. Okay.
Hey, we got a microphone?
All right, let's sit on levels on this. Give me a good hard one. Yeah. The other thing about, leaving this at one thing, you don't chase your amplitudes back and forth between different switches. You think that'll do? So that's too hot for me.
Yeah, the filter.
Do you got sound effects?
Like, no one did?
Me?
Either one. Like
Here we go.
Pro Tools or
I'll answer that in 1 second.
Hold on, let me.
I'm taking a break.
Alright, I got it.
I'll be like,
Okay. Here we go.
obviously
think you
louder.
got a velocity on that track.
Definitely, but I don't know. Can you fix that in post production?
I can fix it in immediately.
Yeah.
Make it like the other.
Oh, for real, like his show.
Since it doesn't have any sustain, what we want to do is, see, this is on grid, but that's okay. We just want to notch it completely out, since it doesn't have any. If it were like getting louder or softer, we'd fade it in or out a little bit. But let's just test that one spot.
So that second
Wait.
That's better.
Yeah, that one's fine. It's actually even a little low. See, if I click this right there, I can move it right here. Oop, that did everybody. Didn't want to do that. Okay, never mind. Wants to move everybody. Okay. Ready for another track, or?
Yeah. You want to test how this sounds? Yeah. I'm gonna put it at 75. It's gonna be louder.
Hang on. We are way hot.
There we go. Is that better?
That seems fine.
Okay.
Somehow
Sensual seduction.
Is that what you're playing?
Maybe.
I caught on to it, yeah.
Okay, we'll go on and put one. Everything's good.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm saying, wait, bro.
Should have kept other tracks.
Okay, let's see what happened there.
I could have done better with some of the sustain and some of the phrasing, because it really cut out like pretty abruptly, probably. I could fix that with like fading out the lead, tailoring the phrases.
Over here?
Yeah.
That one was kind of loud too. Okay, in terms of like making something longer, not super practically,
Well,
but you can do other things that will make that sort of.
I was just saying the transition, maybe make it more seamless. It didn't sound that bad though, listening back. That abrupt.
So
It doesn't sound
I
like
gotta fix this. This is bothering me. Okay.
Maybe reverb.
Edit window scrolling. I'm gonna change this to page so that it scrolls along with you. It can be very. Isn't that nice? Now you can see the ADSR right on this. Okay, what I mean by ADSR is called attack, sustain, decay, release. So like here, the attack is almost instantaneous. Sustain is at 100%, and then the release is real quick. So probably in the release, that would make it last a little bit better. Here is and it is a fix, it's really a fix, that was audio 4. I send that audio 4 out the reverb bus, and I send it to this aux and put some reverb on it. We use deverb today just for keys. And for this, we probably want a pretty big, let's just do large hall bright. Now, what's going to happen here is I'm going to switch this to be my reverb level send. All right, you'll notice it's all the way down. So I just really kind of wanted to reverberate whatever to there. And I don't want to do this on grid. I want to do it on slip so I can get it exactly where I want it. But I don't want it to just suddenly become reverby. So we'll take it a little bit through the next note. And this may or may not be okay. You can hear it a little bit. Did you hear it that time? Okay, so that one would be a okay, that would be a nice one there. And then we don't need it at the beginning. So just to more there. So that sounds dry now, doesn't it? One thing, see what it's like with reverb all the way through it. I think a little bit more. You can hear that.
to that.
Okay.
I mean, unless you want to show us how to put drums or something.
I don't really have a drum machine on this. Let us. Okay, so I've gone to my import option. Ooh. And let's do this. Let's save this as it is, and we'll come right back to it. And now we're gonna create a new template. And hard to say what would be the best.
Hip hop.
Hip hop? You wanna do hip hop? Oops. I don't care, just. Okay.
Not that hip hop though.
No.
I didn't like that one either.
That's very old.
Yeah, but
Mine's not small.
could be.
Crazy.
Boy,
We're going with this.
The empty helmet.
Now, I'm gonna close this,
oh my god.
and then I'm gonna open what we just did. And now, I'm gonna go to File, Import, and I'm importing session data, okay? So I'm gonna go to session data, and then go to my drum and bass, and then I'm gonna import as a new track the drums, okay? You really start on measure-ish 3, yes? You jumping the beat every time. What? Okay, so since it's so obvious, let's just, I'm gonna trim this off, but as a slip, not a grid. And now, I'm gonna make this as big as I can so I get right to that very first thing. Okay? I'll pull it back a little bit, see I got nothing there. Then I'll go back to grid and make a little small, okay, come on. And then I'll pop it right to the first beat that you want. Do the same thing here. Where are you going? Stop that, damn it.
Does that shift the tracks? Like the whole track? Each track?
If it's all selected,
Is it?
it is.
Would that throw other things out of sync?
It would if I didn't reset everything, which I'm doing because so I'm putting everything to the start of its. Oh, but the fourth track you didn't start at the same time, did you?
Mhm.
Okay, well, now we've got a little problem. Let's just see where the fourth track is. To me, it seems like you're right on the pickup note there, so I think it's going to work out just fine. Okay? Now I have to come down here to my drums and my basses. Back to the beginning. So all right, ready to jam. This is probably going to make a complete travesty of what you've done, Brian. Appreciate you. There you go. See, because it's a synthesizer, it's with Pro Tools tempo, not whatever the drum and bass was in the other one. Does that make sense? If it were an actual recorded thing, that would be a whole different trip to make the drums work. Seems like That's not the worst thing we've done in here. What's the worst thing? So Alexis's disappearing clarinet trio. That takes the cake. Okay, to refresh what we did here, I started by naming my program and then 4 mono audio tracks, and I put them all on input 1, and I switched input 1 to line because that's not really an instrument going in, that is a line going in. It doesn't matter what's on the other end of the line. But the difference between line is it doesn't need phantom power, it is not using the same voltage that microphones use. So we have 4 of those, and we set up an instrument track that was a click track, and then Brian recorded 4 tracks over. We adjusted the volume a little bit on one track, and we adjusted a little reverb on another track. There's sure other things that you could do. When you're coming from a synthesizer to a recorded situation, you want to get as much as you can on the synthesizer end of it. You don't want to try to do too much with that. Now, other things we could have done is we could have come in to a stereo track. Some of his patches, I'm sure, have some stereo components to them. That could have been interesting. Again, what we haven't done with this mix is like put things in the stereo, but we have so few instruments, it's kind of hard to decide where we would put things. But we would put them somewhere, even if it was just a little bit, just to give it a little bit more space. We would probably normalize and mix a little bit to just get the overall balance between each one just dialed in exactly. But that again is kind of done with good levels and all of that. So again, we got more stuff going in to help us. Say it again, the more you can get going in, the better you're at with that. I don't know why the drums is recording. Then we opened a template in Pro Tools that had drum and bass in it, and it just had synthesizers, and we could look and find out what that synthesizer was by it to expand to synthesizer, and it'll do a bunch of stuff. All right, so that was fun with that. But what I did was import the session data so that I could get that entire drum track, that synthesized drum track, and the synthesizer all brought in. Now you can import many different things into Pro Tools. You can import an audio track or a MIDI thing and then put another MIDI instrument on it, or session data. You can import all of that, and that works pretty well. And that just happened to just sort of work with what he was doing there. Yes.
Does it have sound effects on?
No, I do have on the Lacey Drive what's called USA Sample Library, and we have a bunch of sampled things in there. And they're anything from like a can dropping on the floor to people driving off in gravel, and it just all kind of things that I have used. I create sound music that I've used the sample library for about 10 years. Occasionally we add stuff to it. For several years we had grants for people to do the recordings of things, you know, like all kind of things. There's just a zillion things in there.
Are there more like traditional musical things in there as well?
No,
Okay.
none of that. Okay, a couple things online that can be of help to you is freesound.org, and you have to join, but it doesn't cost anything, and if you do have the opportunity to upload things to it, that's a good thing too. But you can get all kind of soundscape. People will just like be in the Italian countryside, and they'll put on their microphones, and then they'll record stuff. Could be cowbells or the wind or the trains or whatever, or street scenes, and they'll place it on the world in GPS. And I've used so much stuff from freesound.org. It's open source stuff. You just have to give credit where credit's due. I had a piece come out just this week, I think, called Size of an Ancient Wall, which used, no, it's coming out, what is that piece? Oh, The Hero of the Desolate Isle. I used a lot of voiceovers from freesound.org, and the voiceovers was this nice woman just doing advertisement stuff or public announcements or whatever, and I just cut that all up and did stuff with it, and it was part of my piece. Another former student here I used in another piece called Size of an Ancient Wall that just came out last week on Nova Records. But it used Vicki Turner. She'd done some singing for me for different stuff, and I just manipulated her voice in different ways, and that became the source of the piece. Another piece I did, it's called Crystalline Radiant Sky, which is who wrote The Great Gatsby. It's from his first book, Far Side of Paradise. Anyway, this quote from that. F. Scott Fitzgerald. Thank you, high school. And I use only the sound of the instrument itself manipulated to make the audio track from which she played along with that. Anyway, so the best thing for sound effects is to make them yourself. That's the funnest thing to do. And there's a real art to that. It's called Foley, and it used to be for making sound effects for like radio shows, you know, like clopping horses or closing doors or all kind of amazing things that have gotten so intense, like in Lord of the Rings and those kind of fantastical movies, the things that they have to do to get these amazing huge sounds. Sometimes they'll drag like concrete blocks over stuff and get a real close mic on it. Or I remember in Indiana Jones, one of their movies, they had all of these, it was either rats or roaches or something, but they needed a sound for it. They took the sound of chickens and then made it much higher, so it's like this frenetic, and that was either roaches or rats making those noises. So anyway, Foley is interesting stuff. So see, when you're in a movie or a TV show, they've got the dialogue mic hanging right over them. But if I were to come over here and like to make that convincing, you need to hear that sound in the video. So they would go back in and Foley it in. They would make that sound. Or like fight scenes, you know, breaking someone's neck, you would like maybe get celery and go like that, or bamboo, snapping bamboo for like bones, or stabbing cabbage or something. You know, there's all just any.
And something like they use the same voice effects, like they use the same sounds like with the scream. Like they use the same sound for some movie. I can hear it. Like,
you're talking about the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably in public domain now. Yeah, so sound effects are really neat, and even a lot of the dialogue in TV and movies, they voice over later on just to get a better sound. Or you'll see somebody far away, but you'll hear them, like the camera shots like 40 yards away, but you're hearing them just talk regular. All that goes into how you set the scene and all of that. And I have done pretty much video, but honestly, I can edit it pretty well because I can edit audio well. But in terms of like what a real video person would do, they have way mad skills. And I wouldn't want to do it. It's too hard and too boring. Any other questions? Is it about quitting time? Say it's quitting time. Somebody say it's quitting time. Let's just call it quits 4 minutes early.
Thank you.
Well, apparently I just got a text I got more work. So. Have a nice day, class. Be done. Let's thank Brian for his effort. Good job. If you can make it, it's free tomorrow night, 7:30.